Hey, welcome back to my channel, IndieAuthor Jill. Um, so before we get into today's book, I want to give you guys a little update on how the reading challenge is going. I explained this to my friend at church about how I was just doing the one book for each prompt and not doubling one book, one prompt instead of doubling up two prompts for each book because of how hard I felt like it would be to keep it straight. And she's like, why is it hard? And I was like, take for example, the Ganden Gambit. Uh, it takes place in Asia. It's part of the reading challenge that I'm doing for 52 book club. Um, for their when I doing their summer reading challenge, so it qualifies for the readathon on the per kid, but it could also apply to Asia because they're in the Himalayas. They could apply to a white cover. Like there's different things this could appeal to. So, uh, me being someone who likes to plan things in advance as much as possible, I don't. Um, I told her I didn't like the idea of okay, I make it for these two things, and then I find out that okay, it works for these two things, but something else works, better for it, and then switching it around and everything. And if I say I decide to do it for the readathon and for Asia, and then later I decide what, it would have been better for me to use it for LGBT rep, and then I change it to LGBT rep, but I forget to take it off of the Asia rep. um, and then I have a book applying to three things instead of two things. And she says, you're overthinking it, just don't change it. Stay like you have such a hard time with just making a decision and committing to a decision. Just stick with it. And I thought it's not a bad idea. So I've decided I will go ahead and do the double up method, and I've already done it with the others as it stands because a race with a rogue was applied to both um, 2025, 2024, and the readathon. And I believe that um, Twisted Tree of everybody chill was nope. Okay. Um, Nothing's been applied to 2024 yet, has it? Let's see. Maybe this one did. 2023. Did I apply that to 2023? No, I didn't. Okay. So, but yeah, A Race with the Rogue was applied to, published in 2024, and part of the readathon. The Twisted Tree in Wonderland was applied to um, the readathon, but also I applied it to disability rep. Oh, it was the Walk in the Snow. Walk in the Snow I applied to both um, the readathon and 2024. And then the Blackguard Way of the Ascari I applied to BIPOC rep and the readathon. The Ganden Gambit, I am going to apply to the readathon and to Asia. And uh, yes, there's other things it could apply to, but I'm gonna try and stick to it and help with my fear of sticking to a decision, I guess. Um, so uh, the next prompt says a book with a similar um, title font. So now that I'm done with this, I'm going to be moving on to a white lie Christmas. You won't see that review video until December though, because Christmas. But getting into the Ganden Gambit by Lesley Dimmock. I hope I'm pronouncing that last name right. so many things about this book. First of all, I kept screaming at Lindsay. There are two main characters. Well, there's three if you count Rinzen. Rinzen is a Tibetan monk, and he has been charged with delivering an ancient relic that is necessary for the enthronement ceremony for the Dalai Lama to the monastery that is hosting the Dalai Lama. And he ends up running across Lindsay and her girlfriend Kate. Um, and this is actually the second Lindsay and Kate uh, adventure. Um, but in my opinion, Kate is such a walking, talking red flag. And I spent most of this book yelling at Lindsay to dump her. Uh, First and foremost, at first it was fine. She was talking about how much she likes Kate and how she's less curmudgeony and she's in better shape because she goes on all these hiking adventures with Kate. But they get to this suspension bridge. And as she gets on the suspension bridge, Lindsay confesses Lindsay's obviously having a problem, and Kate asks, "Are you okay?" And she says, "I don't do well with heights." And so Kate appears to be a green flag in this point because she's, uh, holding her hand and she's guiding her along and she's encouraging her and getting her across the bridge and whatnot. And Lindsay asks, "Are there going to be any more bridges like that?" And Kate says, yeah, one or two, but none as big as that. Out and out lie. Like, you should be able to be honest with someone you're dating and these two are living together at this point. So um my first thought is, how did Heights, I don't know what happened in the first book, but how did Heights not come up? You had an entire adventure with this woman and Heights didn't come up. I mean, it's completely possible. um I'm not saying it's not. i just I'm just curious. um but so she outright lies to her. The next day they start heading out to go off, and they have crossed four different suspension bridges, and they get to the fifth one, and it's longer and bigger than the first one that she said, "Oh, none of them are as big as that one." So it's like, first of all, you lied about how many bridges there were. You lied about how bad the bridges were, and you're just kind of goading her along. Well, then they get to Namche. I don't know if I'm pronouncing any of these words right because I've only read them, I haven't heard them. But they get to Namche Bazaar. Kate has been here before. She knows the area, and she knows what kind of a place Namche is, and she has to know that Lindsay's going to want to do some shopping because it's a whole like town. Lindsay even points out that there's like this chocolate shop that she needs at least an hour to justify the presence of the to do the chocolate shop justice. Now the difference is, the thing is that Kate knows that they're going to be coming back through this way and then they will have time to shop then. So I'm giving her that, but she also doesn't communicate that to Lindsay. So they're at Namche Bazaar, and she wakes up the next morning and she's got these plans to go have lunch and shop at the markets and shop at the chocolate shop and everything. And um, Kate's like, "Are you ready for a hike?" And she's like, "No, I planned on doing some shopping since today is supposed to be a rest day." And she's like, "Actually, it's not supposed to be a rest day. It's supposed to be an acclimatization day, which means we have to hike high and sleep low. So we have to go on a hike and then come back and whatnot." So she again, she doesn't explain this very well before the whole trip, so Lindsay has no idea what to expect. She's just kind of going with the flow. And she does entice Lindsay to the Everest View Hotel because it has a bakery. And Lindsay's pacified with that. Like, okay, yeah, let's go to the bakery. So they hike up to the bakery, um, get themselves a nice sweet treat and everything, and they start heading back. And Kate's showing her some different views and everything, and they're having a good time. But then an avalanche takes place on the opposite mountain, but with it coming down and the mist comes, like, starts crawling back up. And so Kate's like, we need to hurry and get out of here. And so they start heading out. Well, as they're heading out, Lindsay slips and sprains her ankle. And they get back to the lodge at Namche Bazaar, and then they wake up the next morning and she's stiff, like she can't move anything. Her ankle is swollen, and she hobbles down the stairs. And Kate's like, "Yeah, we're gonna go to Dole today," and she's like, "We're not. My ankle is swollen. I can't move." And she's like, "As you're hiking, you will if you just rest and stay in bed, you're going to seize up. It's not going to do you any good. You need to get moving and get up and uh walking." And she's like, "Okay, that's all fine and good, but my ankle is still sprained. It hurts." And she's like, "It'll be better when you're walking." And it just feels like she's not listening to, like, Lindsay is trying to explain her needs and Kate's just not listening. Now, to Kate's credit, she is correct about the moving around. By lunchtime, by the time they start hiking and by lunchtime, everything starts to not be so tight, but her ankle is still swollen and it still hurts. Um, and they get to the next place and they're able to rest a little bit. And by the following day, her ankle is feeling better. So it wasn't terribly sprained. And but like I said, oh, and then when she was talking about her ankle hurting and everything, she's like, "Did you bring your day pack down from your room?" And she's like, "No, can you go get it for me? I'm struggling with my foot because I sprained it." And Kate just rolls her eyes, and it's like I'm sitting there, it's like, "Lindsay, you would not put up with this kind of crap from a man. Why are you putting it up with it from a woman? Just because she's some chick that's cute, you know?" And two, again, uh, to her credit, like, Kate was right, and she knows a thing or two about, like I said, she's a hike up here, so she knows what it's like and everything. Um, but she's not being very gentle and she's not explaining anything. She's just, giving a very base explanation of, "Nope, we're going. We're going hiking. You're going to go with us and it's going to be fine." And they get to their next place and they're having a good time and they decide to go hiking again, like to check out something. And, like, things start to get better. They're enjoying themselves some more. And then they come back to their lodge, and there's some strange guy in their hotel room, and their lodge room, and he's going through Kate's bag, and when he gets caught, he takes off running, and Kate goes chasing after him and ends up getting shot. And Lindsay's a little bit torn. On one hand, she's scared because Kate's been shot. On the other hand, she's mad because apparently she did something similar to this in the last book. And she's just that kind of reckless of, there's confrontation, I'm going to go after the confrontation, whereas Lindsay is like, let's avoid the confrontation. you know um the good thing is it takes Kate out of the story for a while, which is perfect for me. And then she starts having this adventure with Rinzen because Kate, because of being shot, has to go back down to Namche Bazaar, and she's being carried on a stretcher down to Namche Bazaar to get treated by the doctor for the being shot and everything. Lindsay, on the other hand, is going with Rinzen to help continue his trek to deliver the Ganden relic, and uh, she worries about Kate and everything. And like Kate does start to like you can start to see some of the reasons why Lindsay likes Kate so much. Kate does have like redeemable qualities. Um, she when it's uh obvious that like when Lindsay gets a migraine, Kate's first concern is altitude sickness, and so she's like, okay, we need to get you rested, we need to get you some food, we need to check you out, and she actually like focuses on her and okay, how do you look, how are you acting, how are you speaking, how are you feeling, and like she shows genuine concern for her. And then when she wakes up in the hospital and finds out that Lindsay, who has never been in the Himalayas ever before in her life, is out trekking with a monk who has no idea where he's going, um, trying to deliver this relic while Chinese officials are trying to track them down and Chinese soldiers are trying to track them down and potentially kill them if need be to get this relic. Kate is furious. And she's like, why did you let them go? Why did you send them off together? Why did you not send somebody else with them? Somebody who knows where they're going and what to do. These two have no idea about being on these mountains. And the funny thing is that Lindsay actually comes into her own. And she figures like she's not a mountaineer. She knows she's not a mountaineer, and she knows she's not cut out for this, but she finds that actually she kind of is. And she is stronger than she thinks she is, and she's better suited to this than she thinks she is. And when she reunites with Kate, Kate's like, "Well, yeah, it's because you're acclimatized to the area. So she's like, you're no Sherpa, but you're better than these guys that are just coming onto the trail." And when they are finally reunited, then Kate rejoins the mission and she's injured. And I gotta hand it to Kate. I understand some of the reasons why Lindsay sticks with Kate. This like, yeah, she has some red flag tendencies. She needs to be more open and honest about what's going on. And even Lindsay tells her that if she knew what to she would have enjoyed, like she enjoyed the trip as it was, but she would have enjoyed it so much more if she knew what to expect. And so she tells Kate, yeah, I'm totally willing to come on this trip again. um we can do this next year if you want, but like I want to know what to expect, and I want to know what's in store. And Kate's like, she even starts to have this turnaround of, oh, okay, well, I can be a little bit more forthright with this information of saying, hey, this is what you can expect. Um, I do like the growth that both Lindsay and Kate go on, because you would expect that there wouldn't necessarily need to be any growth with two characters who have been dating, like they met and started dating in the last book, and apparently, and when they had their adventure. But you wouldn't expect a or at least I don't generally in these books, when the couple is already an established couple, they've already been together for a while. I don't really usually expect a growth of the characters as much as a um just, yep, this is another adventure we have. And there's always a what's next at the end, and there's no what's next. That doesn't necessarily mean there isn't another what's next. It's just that with Kate, she tells Kate, with you it's always an adventure, and one I'm always willing to do as long as you're right there beside. It's an adventure I don't want to do without you. And like I said, Kate and Lindsay both have this growth of growing into, uh, better people and better for themselves. But like I said, there's uh Kate's been shot, and like when they're reunited, she's patched up, but she's not completely healed, and she's still willing, like, yeah, let's go face off with the Chinese and get this relic to the Dalai Lama. Who cares if there's a hole in my shoulder and I'm still patched up and I'm still, injured and weak? We're doing this. And she's like scrambling over boulders and whatever. Um, it was a very fun adventure. Somebody else, I saw a review that somebody else said that they're like they wanted to make this made into a movie, and I couldn't agree more. This would definitely be a good movie. This is definitely a movie worthy book. Um, I even yelling at Lindsay about her troublesome breakup, her troublesome relationship. Uh, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the adventure. I enjoyed her description of different things. Like at one point, she refers to some Sherpa. She sees some Sherpas coming through, and she describes them as nuggety little men. um, but yeah, I I liked the adventure uh part of it, and like I said, Kate grew on me. Uh, at the first half of the book, I'm just like, dumper, date a birder or a surfer. Surfers are fun, and you get to go to the beach. You don't have to climb a mountain. But then, like, Lindsay is talking about, like, she's climbing these mountains and she's having the time of her life. And it's like, well, I don't know that it would be a relationship for me, but, like, if the relationship works for them, then who am I to question it, I guess? Um, so yeah, definitely worth the read. I will link uh the book in the description down below, and I will also link the first book. So if you decide you want to read the first book before doing the second book, you can. Um I don't really have much more to say about it than that. It was a fun read. It was um Lindsay's observations, but of and how she describes things half the time cracked me up, and her reaction to different things. I just enjoyed I enjoyed being on this journey with Lindsay, and at one point even with Kate, because once her and Lindsay reunited and got on the journey together, uh it was still fun. So um definitely understand Lindsay's love for a shower after a few days of being in the muck and the grime. But yeah, so I can't think of anything else to say about it without giving anything away. So I'm gonna leave it there, and I will see you guys in the next video. It won't be a White Light Christmas because, like I said, that's gonna be in December. Um, what is the next one? I think I've already picked out the book for this one. Um, oh yeah. Anti-Hero Blues will be the next one you guys will see a video of. Um, hopefully. That one I'm looking forward to. Um, I will say I'm already on chapter 2 of this one and I'm enjoying this one too. So, uh I've got these books so far that I've gotten for the ones that, at least the ones that were in the challenge, with the exception of the Twisted Tree in Wonderland, I have been really enjoying. Um, the Twisted Tree in Wonderland again wasn't a bad book, but it was just hard to read because it was so emotionally charged. Um, but for my question for this video, what reading challenges are you doing right now? Until the next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.